This is J. Krishnamurti's sixth public discussion in Saanen, 1972.
We have two more this morning and tomorrow morning, two discussions altogether. So what shall we talk over this morning? Could we talk over together the question of education?
I'm aware that my feelings and my thinking are very, most of the time, in a battle, and that my feelings are being killed by my thinking, but the thinking doesn't want to stop and be dead for it.
My thinking and feeling are in constant conflict. Thinking seems to destroy my feelings. No suggestions? Could you talk over self-centered activity? Beg pardon?
You often say that freedom is at the beginning and not at the end. Isn't love and consideration and understanding of others at the beginning and not at the end? Couldn't we start the other way around?
What do you mean the other way around?
From the feeling, not from the mental.
Effort and attention. Education, please.
Sir,
I
spend 1/3 of my life, or approximately 1/3 of my life, sleeping. Right? I mean, within every 24-hour period. And as I have gotten older, I have found that my ability to sleep in harmony with myself seems to be less and less, so that the quality of rest that I get doesn't really prepare me too well for my day. Can we discuss that?
just answer that question and the lady's question. She says, why do you always talk about the activity of thought and not, why don't we talk over together our feelings? And the other question is, as I get older, I sleep more.
My ability to be in a perfect state of rest is less, so I do not have a harmonious experience for those 8 hours. Therefore, I do not get up as well rested as I feel I could.
Would you like to discuss what is the function of sleep? Yes. You want to talk over that? Yes? No. So you decide and tell me what you'd like to talk about. Could we go into the question of meditation? Yes? Look, we've got only this morning and tomorrow morning. What do you think would be the most important thing that we can talk over together? What? What is it? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Education. Is that what you want to discuss? No. I don't know. We'll talk about intuition. Problems of existence. That's what we have been talking about for the last 10 days, haven't we? How to gather enough energy to meditate. Do you want to discuss meditation? No, be quite sure, please, because it's a very serious subject, and don't kind of say, well, that's a nice subject to talk about. If you are really interested in it, we have not only going to the question of energy, harmony, and what is the function of sleep. All these are involved in meditation, not just sitting cross-legged and going off into some fantasy. So do you really want to discuss this? Yes? Beg your pardon? Could we not deal with education in the same way? Whom are you educating? The children or the educator? Wait a minute, please. Both. Is the educator capable, really, of educating the child? No. You say no? Oh, she agrees, no. Which is, the educator has to understand the whole problem of existence, hasn't he? Not in departments, not classified as technology, as science, and so on, so on. He has to understand, if he is to be a really good, efficient, worthwhile educator, he has to understand the whole problem of existence. Now, during the last 3 weeks, we have been talking about existence. We have not perhaps mentioned the word education, but the educator is being educated here in this tent, if he would listen. Right? Right. Shall we go on with the other? And which is part of our education, right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They want to know. He says, haven't we been talking about meditation for the last 3 weeks?
In relation to meditation, there is also one thing we must find. Is the capacity to understand existence equal in each human being, or is there like difference of physical shapes, difference of intelligence, and therefore incapacity to understand existence?
The capacity to understand existence, does it depend on individual biological structure or on his tendency, character, and idiosyncrasy, or does the understanding of existence
Is it a common gift? Is it common to all human
Yes, that's it. Is it common to all human beings? I should have thought it was common to all beings. I may have my peculiar tendency, my peculiar idiosyncrasy and character, but surely understanding must go beyond all that. So it is common. It's not restricted according to one's character, body, and so on. Bene? No, yes. Big one? Death. You're quite young, aren't you? She wants to discuss death. Now wait.
We talk about
Health, disease, accident, and all that kind of thing. Now, how can we put all this together? Health, disease, death, education, thought, killing, feeling, sleep, meditation, and death. Shall we? How can we put all this together? Curiosity. Put it all in. What's that? Isn't it all in meditation? Yes, ma'am.
how to be present.
No, un momento. That.
For me, the house is still burning. The house is still burning. And I feel that there are many people who have clear eyes in this world. But the people in power, how can we bring about real change without influencing people that are in the positions of power? The government,
Yes, I understand, madam. How is there are some people who see clearly, but that is very limited, and how to affect, how to bring about a change of heart in the people who are in power, right? What is the meaning of freedom? Well, lots of it now. Comprehension of education and sorrow and education. Is the ending of the image, is it sufficient to have love? All right, sir.
Is meditation an effort? Is meditation an effort?
Yes, sir. Meditation and good old effort. Throw it all in, sir. Let's all get together. Oh,
In,
Tokobule.
right, in common to all of these questions, it seems to me that we have every variety of motivation to understand them, except for the simple one of curiosity or desire to find out. Why does the motivation prevent us from understanding these questions? And why do we have so little curiosity or desire to find out for its own sake?
Look, sir, all these things are involved, isn't it? Curiosity, death, education and sorrow, sleep, the whole mechanism of thought, feeling, and so on. All these have a central issue, haven't they? They have a central point from which we can start, right? Would you say? Can we do that? Now, what is the central point? The root, which has the trunk and many branches and leaves. If we could understand this whole process of living, which is the root, then we will deal or have the capacity to deal with all the branches, with all the leaves, the dying leaves and the new leaves and the spring leaf and the old leaf. Now, what do you think is the central issue? No, don't jump into it. Say love. It may be love, but consider it for a few minutes. I want to find out if there is a source, a fountain, waters that once drinking will bring about such intelligence that will reply, answer, solve all the problems. You understand my question? I want to find out if my mind can live both at the level of knowledge and also at the same time move with knowledge the unknown, so that both of them are living together, moving together in harmony. You understood my question? Right, sir? Now, if I can find that out, then I will have answered all your questions. You'll have answered for yourself all the questions. How to deal with the known, known being the accumulated knowledge of centuries, and also at the same time enter all, allow the unknown to move also, so that the two together function in harmony. Would that answer all your questions? Don't say yes too quickly and then bring up later on, what about physical existence? I have a problem. One has a problem, which is sleep, death, education, strong emotions, passions, controlled by thought, and thought gradually getting stronger and destroying all one's feelings, sensitivities, intuition, curiosity. All these are the problems of life. If I have a mind that's very clear, not corrupted, not polluted, not distorted, then such a mind will answer all these questions. Right? Right, sir? Now, what is that mind? Don't say it is this or it's that, because the description is not the described. The word is not the thing. So I want to find out, what is that mind? That whatever problem it faces, it resolves it and goes on. It doesn't become a burden. It doesn't become something to worry about endlessly. Now, can we together this morning spend a little time in trying to find out what is the quality of that mind? Mind being the brain, the feeling, the whole physical organism, the total thing. Not the body, the emotion, the intellect, the brain, divided, but the total entity. Right? Now, how do you set about to find out? You understand? Existence implies jobs, food, clothes, and shelter. Existence implies all this travail, this battle, this struggle, the pain, the anxiety, the guilt, the sorrow. Existence implies a relationship between two human beings. Existence implies the hours that we spend in sleep. Existence implies love, which is translated as jealousy, hate, for all that, and sleep, death, and meditation, right? All that is involved. I want to find out for myself, not having read a book, and I don't want to read any books about all this, I want to find out what that mind is. I'm very curious. Right? Shall we discuss that? Huh? I don't know, please don't be casual about it. I don't want your encouragement, you understand? I do this in my walk. Now, how shall I find out? A mind so clear, a mind that has no conflict, not an ideal, actually has no conflict, a mind that can be completely quiet, a mind that when it sleeps, makes itself new, that lives in complete absence of the me, which is the essence of conflict, right? Now, how am I to go about it? How am I to, because I'm curious, I've got enough energy, I am not frightened, whatever the consequences of my inquiry is. I don't depend on anybody for money, food. It doesn't interest me. If you give me food, I'll take it. If you don't, it's all right. You follow? I'm not interested in that. My whole concern is this.
But, sir, I'm not curious. Instead, I want to attain it.
Right. He's not curious, but he wants to attain it. There is the trade. I don't want to attain it. How can my stupid little mind attain that? It can't, can it? Because I think in terms of attainment, in terms of success, in terms of getting something. That's my motive. But I said, no, I have no motive. I want to see what such a mind is like. You see the difference? Right? I'm going to find out, sir. That just it. I don't know if it exists. Because I have no guru, thank God. I have no teacher. I don't accept any description or whatever another says about that. I brush all that aside. They may be an illusion, or they're racketeers. So I'm not interested in that. So I just want to find out if there is such a mind. Now, how am I to begin it? How am I to start? Go on, sir, please, help me. Where am I to start? At the unknown end, which I can imagine, and therefore not real, or where am I to begin to discover this mind that can respond without contradiction? You understand? Without effort, without denial, sacrifice, forcing. Where am I to begin? Why would you begin by asking why all these problems come into being? Look, sir, we've talked for 10 days or 3 weeks. We've been through all that. I start inquiry, right? If there is such a mind, and to find out, I must start not knowing, right? Please, I don't know a thing about it, do you? Oh, come on, sir. You may have read what people have said. You might have heard what people have said. I discard all that. All that I know is I don't know. Right? Are you also in that position that you don't know if such a mind exists and if it is at all possible to come upon it? Right? You don't know. Don't pretend, that's all. Right? Bene, signore? Bene. I don't know. A mind that says, I don't know. Right? Therefore, it is free to inquire. Right? Right, sir? There is freedom. That is the first step and the last step. Just take it slowly. You understand? When I say, I don't know, I do not depend on anybody, on any circumstances, on any environment, either on the past or on the future. When I say I don't know, I really completely mean it. I don't know. Are you in that position? Or you have your hidden masters, your hidden guides, your hidden memories, You follow? And pretend that you are not, you don't know.
I even don't know whether I know.
Please don't, this is too serious, don't play with words. Can you honestly say to yourself, I don't know? Whether there is such a mind, and therefore I am free to inquire. Therefore, inquiry demands that you be free first. You understand? Free first, not at the end. Free from your Zen, free from your meditations, your systems, your gods, your myths, your gurus, your concepts, you follow? Out. Out of the window, all that. You're neither a Christian, nor a Buddhist, nor a follower of Jesus. Out. Then you're free to inquire. That means the mind is not frightened. Frightened to be alone. Right? Now I'm going to inquire. Because I don't know what's going to happen. I am not looking for a result. Right? I don't want to find it or not find it. Because my insistence is that mind must be free to inquire. And therefore, never a moment of distortion. There is distortion when there is a motive. I have no motive. I don't care. You understand? I don't care. If that mind exists, doesn't exist, my inquiry is motiveless, endless, and has no authority whatsoever, past or present. Therefore, it is free to inquire. You understand? Come on, sir, will you move with... Now, what am I inquiring into? Please listen to this carefully. What am I inquiring into? I'm free to inquire. Inquire what? Sleep? Right? What, sir? You're all very silent. Free to look. Look at what? The tree, the mountain, the green, lovely, sparkling meadows. Huh?
It's automatic. The cup is empty, and it's going to be...
Don't speculate.
I'm not speculating. The cup becomes full immediately, and that beauty changes into pleasure, and then we're lost.
Yes.
So the cup has to be empty all the time.
When you say, I don't know, the mind is empty. When it says, I'm not inquiring, I'm inquiring, I say, what am I inquiring into? Follow it, sir. Am I inquiring into death, which is part of living? Am I inquiring into sleep, which is part of living? Job? Fear? What am I inquiring into?
I begin with the fact that I'm bored, I'm discontent,
Right? Yes?
and I'm in conflict, and I'm asking myself whether it's possible to
You don't know. Then why don't you start from there? I don't know how to end conflict, right? I live in conflict, contradiction, all the rest of it. We won't go into all the details of it. I live in conflict. I'm inquiring into that because I don't know what's going to happen. Wait a bit, madam. You understand, sir? I'm inquiring into conflict with a mind that says, I really don't know whether I can ever go beyond it. Right? But you start with a mind that says, I really don't know. I live in conflict, but I don't know how to solve it. We don't go step by step into it. But you start with not knowing. And therefore you start with freedom. Right?
You can't inquire any further into an idea except as an idea.
You're going to find out, sir. Don't verbalize it yet. No, madam. No, madam. You're quite a good, yes. Look here, we had all these questions, haven't we? Life is death, sleep, conflict, suffering, education, thought, opposing feeling, feeling opposing thought. We have all these questions. I said, where am I to start in the resolution of all this, in the understanding of all this? Where am I to start? Indeed. I say, I really don't know whether I should begin here or there. Therefore, I not knowing, I meet them all. You get it? Because I don't know. Therefore, I have the capacity to look at them all. Have you got it, sir? This is not mystifying. How can I go on with all of you? This is really marvelous subject. If you go into it with 2 or 3 people, we could go great deal. But with so many contradictory problems and all the rest of it, becomes extraordinarily difficult. I don't know what meditation is. I don't know what death is. I don't know if life can be lived without strife, without any kind of strife. But I am free to inquire, right? Now I'm going to inquire, being free, what is the significance of sleep, right? I'm taking that. Sleep, which most of us have, is a disturbance, right? No? Isn't it a disturbance with dreams, with pictures, right? Nightmares. All kinds of things are going on, aren't they? Right?
There's other kind of sleep too.
What?
There's other kind of sleep too.
Oh, do you know it?
Yes.
What is that?
Oh, that I did not know anything about dreams and nightmares.
So, when the brain gets tired of dreams, it becomes quiet. Is that it? What?
Yes, I suppose.
Oh, no. You are inquiring, you can't suppose.
He has to suppose because you can't ask him while he's asleep. He's awake now, and he has to suppose about before.
That's what I mean, sir. Look, sir, we are inquiring into the question of sleep, right? I'm asking myself, during the day, my whole day is a disturbed existence, right? Right? I'm disturbed all day long. I've got a job where I'm insulted. You follow? It's a great confusion during the daytime. And at night, the same movement is going on. It isn't a break, which is translated into dreams.
And you asked him, is there another type of sleep?
I don't know. I'm going to find out. Right? I see that during the day my life is disturbed. My brain is in conflict. Right? I'm pushed around, I'm dominated, or I dominate. It's a constant threat, constant pain, constant pleasures, and so on, so on. It is the same movement carried on when I go to sleep. That is when I dream. So I say to myself, I'm inquiring, can I, during the day, bring order in my life? Because when I sleep, dreams are a means of bringing about order. Right? Right, sir? Have you noticed, just before you go to sleep, sometimes the brain says, what kind of day have I had? It's trying to bring about order before going to sleep. Have you noticed it? Oh no, don't tell me. Come on, sirs. Right, some of you have. Therefore, when you sleep, before you sleep, the brain tries to put order. If you don't put order, then while you sleep, the brain is trying to create order, which are dreams, interpretations, all the rest of it. Is that clear? I'm inquiring. You understand? I don't want to know what happens. I see this fact, right? Now, can I bring order during the day in my life? If not, I'll dream. If not, my brain will have no rest. And it must have rest. Otherwise, it's like a machinery that's working for 70 years. You understand? It wears itself out. So it must have complete rest.
Scientists say that dreams are necessary.
I don't know what.
We're inquiring into the necessity.
That's all I'm.
Scientists also say that there are states in between dreams. Now, we can inquire as to whether the mind is so completely exhausted, it's given up trying to put order, it is no longer dreaming, it's too exhausted.
That's right.
And I think you are asking, is there a third type?
Yes, yes. I have put my life in order during the day. I have. You follow, not you. That's, to me, it is tremendously important, this. Not to have conflict. So the order. And this order can be brought about only when I see how chaotic the disorder is. through the understanding and examination, inquiry into disorder, order is brought about. Order isn't a pattern which I follow regularly, a blueprint which I accept blindly and go on. Order is something that comes out of the understanding of the insight of disorder. Therefore, my life during the day is orderly. Right? Then at night, what takes place? Sleep then is without dreams. Right? Am I telling you, and therefore you are accepting it, or is it a fact to you?
You are telling me because it is not a fact for me.
Therefore live it.
That's right. We can only talk about the day now. The waking state.
That's all. That's all. That's all. So my inquiry goes much further than yours. Right? Because I think I have brought order in my life, and I know if there is disorder, what to do. And I say the brain then, when it sleeps, is absolutely rested. Right? And what happens during the rest? And further, that's my inquiry. You follow? It's not your inquiry. Therefore, I won't go into it. I know it's exciting for you to listen to what happens, but that's no value.
Scientists have performed an experiment where they keep somebody awake. They can tell when he's dreaming by the movements of his
I know, sir, I know all that.
and then they conclude from that, since the guy goes mad, that you have to dream. But of course, that only shows that if you're disorderly during the day, and then you prevent the
So my question is, sir, have you put order during the waking hours of your life?
Obviously not, because my dream.
Therefore, obviously not. Therefore, why don't you put order? I'm telling you. No, there isn't. The lady says there is so much to cope with. There isn't. What you are coping with is disorder. Beg pardon? No. Disorder has many forms, but it is disorder. Sexual disorder, mental disorder, disorder in our relationship with each other, disorder in my body, disorder, you follow? Psychological, physiological, psychosomatic, whatever it is, disorder. Why don't I bring order into all that? Huh? I'll show it to you, sir. Are you aware of this disorder? Yes. Now watch it, sir. Watch it. You are aware of this disorder. What do you do about it? Please, look at your own disorder. Not that gentleman's disorder. His disorder is your disorder. He says, I'm in disorder. I don't know what to do with it. Why not? What is disorder? Contradiction, isn't it? No? Basically, disharmony. You understand? It's disorder. I think one thing, do another. Say one thing, act in a different way. I feel and I mustn't feel. I want peace, I'm violent. Which are all contradiction, right? Therefore, my life, which is disorderly, is the result of contradiction. Listen to it carefully. When a neurotic person believes in something and holds on to that, you follow? For that person, there is no disorder. Because he says, this is so. You understand what I'm saying? I believe, tremendously in Jesus or in Buddha, and that's finished. I have no disorder. Because that to me is the real, everything is unreal. You follow? So, if there is to be order, you have to examine disorder in your life, which is brought about by contradiction, which is not seeing actually what is, wanting to change what is into something else. That is disorder. Come on, sir.
As I walk along, I'm aware of a center, which is what we call the essence of disorder, the very basis of it. And I think that no matter what I say, don't try to change it and so forth, I still want to get rid of it, and I'm feeling your disorder.
No, sir, please, sir, do listen to what I'm saying. I am aware, you are aware of your disorder. Disorder basically implies contradiction, which is not facing what is, right? Not looking and not moving away from what is. When you move away from what is, that is disorder. When you try to go beyond it, that is disorder. When you try to suppress it, that is disorder. But when you can look at what is, you have all the energy to go beyond it. That is order. Have you got it? Not my verbal explanation. Actually, have you put your teeth into it? What's up?
What about compromises? Sometimes necessary.
What about compromising? Sometimes it is necessary. All right, compromise. Why do you make a problem of it? I have to compromise in putting on trousers. I have to compromise when I would put on leather shoes. Why do you make a problem of compromise? Because one has a principle that you mustn't compromise? Wait, sir, wait, follow it up. One can compromise about little things. But is there compromise when you see the fact that war is caused by nationality? One of the causes, right? Is there any compromise there? What?
Because if you were consequent, you would reject your passport, the nationality.
They let them take my passport, but fortunately they've given me one. And if they say you can't travel, all right, I don't travel. I'll stay where I am. If I starve, I starve. All right. But you follow? Gosh, you people are you're so frightened. Let's move. So I brought order in my life. Daily living, waking hours, there is order. And therefore, the brain is absolutely quiet, incorruptible in that state. And when it wakes up, it has got vitality. Right? That is not yours, but what I am saying. Now I'm inquiring because I don't know. I'm inquiring into meditation, right? What does it mean? I see first the mind must be absolutely quiet, because if it is not quiet, it cannot see clearly, right? That's all. What? No, I see, if I want to listen to you, I must hear what you're saying. I can't be distracted, right, sir? I want to listen to you. Therefore, my attention is effortless, because I'm curious, I'm eager to find out what you want to say. Therefore, there is no effort. I see very clearly, you understand, sir, that to listen, to see, the mind must be completely quiet, right? That's all. And my interest is to listen to you. My interest is to see clearly. Therefore, the mind is quiet.
I think we're going to enter some difficulties.
Oh, lots of difficulties.
At this point, because we're going to start talking in contradiction as words. In order to listen, the mind is quiet. The listening to what? Sound? That sound emphasizes the quiet. They run together. So you said, my mind must be quiet in order to listen. But that's a contradiction of terms, quiet and listening.
No, sir.
The terms, the words are contradictory, but not the actuality.
No, that's all right. If you have understood it, it's simple. To see clearly,
There must be no color in the mind.
that's all. That's all, sir. That's all. That's all. And to make the mind quiet is absurd, right? To force the mind to be quiet is absurd. It's not quiet. Or to follow a system which will make the mind quiet is absolutely silly, right? Whether you're offered by the greatest guru or the lowliest of the gurus. So I see, in my inquiry into meditation, I see, I have an insight, there is an insight into the quality of mind that is quiet. Right? Have you? No? You haven't, have you? Why not? If you want to see the tree, your girl, the mountain, hear what others saying, you have to be quiet, haven't you? What's the difficulty? Therefore, your difficulty is you don't want to listen. You don't want to see. Right? Comment, madame? Ah, bien, bien, bien. Why does it disappear? You see it for an instant, it disappears. All right, let it disappear. You want to have the whole thing, don't you? You're so greedy. Just 1 second perception is enough. Ah, golly. So I'm inquiring into meditation. I see my body must be quiet. Relaxed. Then in that state of relaxation, the blood goes much easier to the brain, right? You understand, sir? Therefore, they advocate sitting in posture. You know, sitting cross-legged and all that game. Or you can lie down, or you can do anything, walk, doesn't matter. So, the body must be sensitive, alive, quick, supple, mustn't it? Yes? Is your body quick, supple, sensitive? Obviously not. Because you overeat, not have enough exercise, smoke, drink, carry on. And yet you say, now, I'm carrying on my daily life, I want to have a quiet mind. Tell me how to work at it. You understand? So you want all your pleasures and yet the other pleasure. Oh, come on, sir. Too childish, all this. Right, sir? Now, the problem is, can thought be still? You understand? Mind means thought. The whole mechanism of thinking. How is thought to be still?
You just said that thought is still when you're really interested to observe.
Yes, sir. I'm going examining, sir. Is your thought quiet?
No.
Therefore, what? You're not inquiring.
That's right. There's a part of you which just sits there like
Therefore, you're not inquiring. I say, I'm inquiring. I say, can thought be quiet? Operate when necessary, logically, sanely, impersonally, vitally, and the rest of the time quiet. You understand? Not all the time operating.
But sir, if you are inquiring, thought is already quiet.
Sir, if you are all, that's your saying, if you are doing this, your thought is quiet. But you're not doing it, are you?
No.
No, therefore we are inquiring for you. I'm inquiring for you. Look. All our life is spent in thinking, isn't it? Most of our life is the activity of thought, right? Thought is going on endlessly, consciously or unconsciously, right? Is that so or not? Now, how do you bring to this mechanism, how do you bring this mechanism to an end for a while? What? Yes, sir, what do you do about it? Therefore, don't talk. What I want to find out. I want to find out. I want to put my blood into it, find out if thought must all the time go on. Or, I say, is there an interval between two thoughts? Or is thought one continuous movement, taking different forms? You're not inquiring. You've never done anything of this. There's an interval between two thoughts. Lady says, yes, I know that interval, she says. Now what happens in that interval? Is it an interval of tiredness? Please inquire. Don't say no or yes. An interval caused by tiredness, by boredom, by daydreaming? Or is it a conscious interval? Or speak louder. Come, come.
There's something very peculiar going on here. You ask a question. If the answer is yes, if the answer is no, if there's an explanation, you ask why, and then naturally people have to give an explanation if you ask why. The peculiarity is in asking the question,
Because we are
the
in.
quality of listening that answers the question simultaneously.
That's right, sir.
The question is asked something like, I'll use an analogy, I know you don't like the scripture, but it's like a voice in the dark listening to itself.
Yes. I am asking the question because I'm asking a question for you, not for me. You understand, sir?
You're not asking it for everybody.
I'm asking it for everybody who is here.
When you say you're asking for you, are you including yourself?
No,
Are we moving together?
no, we are not. For the simple reason, you have never gone into this question. Whether the mind, which is the instrument of thought, which is thought being memory, experience, knowledge, and all the time operating, right? And I say, I'm inquiring for you. Do you find any time that this thought naturally comes to an end? Or is there an interval between two thoughts? Or if that interval is laziness, slackness, tiredness, or are you aware of this interval? And if you are aware of this interval, then what takes place?
There's energy in that interval. That's what the energy is.
Energy is in that interval. To pick up again another thought?
Do as you wish, whatever.
I don't know.
You could waste it or you could use it properly.
Are you guessing? You see, unfortunately, this is our trouble. You haven't gone into this. Right. I understand, madam. All right, madam. I understand. Where are we now?
You recognize what's illusion and what's real at the same time? You recognize what's illusion and what's real at the same time?
Right. So have you so you recognize it?
As far as I'm concerned, we're at the point where you're saying, if I'm giving my whole mind and everything I've got to inquire, then my mind is still.
I didn't say that, sir. I simply said, if you want to listen to somebody, you have to be fairly quiet, haven't you? That's all. Wait. And I want to listen. Listen, not I want to. I want to. Is there a listening without a word? Give it up. Experiment, sir. Do it now. Find out if you can listen without a word. Find out what is the quality of that listening. And find out whether that quality is imagined or real.
Sir, when one tries to do this, a weakness I have is that the mind gives instructions to itself.
Yes, sir, that's part of thinking. You see, I wish you could talk. I wish you had never heard the word meditation. I wish you had never heard what it is to be quiet. I wish you had never heard what may happen beyond when the mind is quiet. If you had never heard any of these things, but only had to deal with your life as it is, you understand, sir? As it is. That is our conflict, our misery, our sorrow. In the resolution of that, the other thing may happen. But you haven't solved it, but you want the other. Right, sir? That's why I said, if you could start with not knowing, I don't know if there is a reality which is not touched by thought. I really don't know. I don't really know if there is a mind which is so religious, not in the orthodox sense of that word, religious, that it is capable of seeing what is sacred. Is there anything sacred in life? Go on, sir. Will you inquire into this? Can we go together into this to find out if there is anything sacred in life? If we don't find it, life becomes meaningless, doesn't it? No? Huh?
Maybe life is meaningless. Possibly life is meaningless. It is now, and I don't know of anything else.
You people don't know, can't move. Look, sir, I'll go on. I want to find out if there is anything sacred in life. Sacred not in the image which man has created, not in an idea that there is sacredness, not in the religious books or their idols, because all that is being put together by man, right? Jesus, Buddha, they've all been put together by thought. By thought which is in agony, which is in despair, which is tremendously in sorrow and pain and fear, and therefore it says that is sacred. You understand? Right? Isn't that clear? And I said, that's not sacred, obviously. I used to know a friend, as he was walking one day in the woods, he saw a piece of wood which had the face of a human being. So he took it home and put it on the mantelpiece. He looked at it and said, what an extraordinary thing that is, because it had vitality. So rain, people walking on it produced this shape. And one day he brought it to that piece of wood, a flower. Put it beside it. And it still looks more beautiful. So every day he added a flower. And gradually, within a year, that became the most sacred thing in his life. You follow all this? Therefore, that's not sacred. Right? I can make that piece of wood into the most sacred thing, like the altar put together, or the way, you know what the Christians, their myths, their idols are just the fantasy of the mind. That's not sacred. I want to find out if there is anything sacred in life. That is in living, dying, in love. Are we walking together? Now, how do I find out? Because I see that if there is no discovery of that beauty, life becomes rather shallow and empty. I can invent a lot of things, sit meditating endlessly about something. All that becomes very, very superficial and rather childish and stupid. So I say, out. I push away all that. Then what is sacred? Is love sacred? The love that has anxiety, fear, jealousy, that dominates, that possesses, you follow? The human relationship which is called love, which is sex, pleasure, pain, anxiety, all that. Is that sacred? I don't know. What do you say? Obviously not. Why? I'll tell you, show itself, watch it. You say why? I'll show you. That piece of wood became sacred, right? So thought made it sacred. Thought has made love into what it is. Right? So thought cannot make anything sacred. Oh, come on, sir. Whether it is the Buddha, the Christ, or Krishna, or whatever it is, an idea. Thought cannot make anything sacred. You understand the beauty of it, sir? To discover that, to come upon that feeling, thought can never make the tree beautiful. The mountain beautiful. your face lovely. Thought cannot make it. Therefore, thought, which is the response of memory, thought which is measurable, can never be sacred. Right? So, that which is sacred is the moment when thought is not. Come on, sir. And at that moment, thought says, I'll measure and I want more of it. Then it becomes pleasure. And thought pursues endlessly pleasure. And so all the temples, all the churches, all the mosques are put together by thought for pleasure. Therefore, there is nothing sacred in it. This is, I'm showing it to you. So can the mind be without thought? And use thought when necessary, which means the mind being empty of thought can use thought and live with thought together. You follow? In harmony, not one and the other. And this is meditation. So that the mind has no illusion. And illusion arises when you want to achieve. Right? When you say, I must attain that. And then you can invent something which you will attain and think you have got it. But always, if you can remember that piece of wood on the mantelpiece, you follow, it is. So my mind so the whole of my mind is sacred. You understand? Not its content is sacred. I wonder if you're meeting all this. But that quality of mind that's completely empty. And out of that emptiness, space and silence, thought can operate. This is all my description, you understand? It's not yours. Now, if few of us see this together, you understand? And it is not mine or yours, but it is so, then we create a new generation. You understand? And then you won't be bothered about changing the people, changing the heart of the people in power. They are not worth changing. Any man who is in power is corrupt. Right? What time is it? Midi? Have we, any of us, traveled together? up to a point. Is that good enough? Oh, let them destroy. They are destroying. They are destroying the world. All the politicians put together are destroying the world. What are we going to do? Vote them out? You and I may vote against them. 90% of the people want that kind of thing. They want power, position, prestige. We want to change the heart of others without changing our own hearts. Don't bother about the others. Begin with yourself. That sounds a cliche, but it isn't. I don't remember that, sir. I can't repeat it. Would you? I don't know. What was?
You were talking about the inquiry into what is sacred.
Yes, sir.
Then you followed and you said that nothing sacred.
Oh, I know. All right. I've got it. I've got it.
The point about pleasure.
I understand, sir. I understand. Look, sir, when there is happiness or a great enjoyment, you learn a great deal. It's only when the mind is happy, relaxed, enjoying, you learn a great deal. And in inquiring into what is sacred, perhaps there is a second when you see them, when the mind sees itself completely without being anything. That moment is the most extraordinary moment. And having seen that, thought comes along and says, I must have more of it. And that is the beginning of pleasure. And not enjoyment, you understand? Joy is something beyond pleasure. But once having smelt it, tasted it, thought says, I must have more of it. Don't you know this? You have had sex, and once you have had it, thought says, let's go on with it. You see a beautiful sunset. At that moment, there is no thought at all. There is complete enjoyment of that beauty. Then thought comes along next few minutes later and says, let's go back to that mountain again. It was such a lovely thing. So thought is always pursuing and avoiding pain and pursuing pleasure. This is so simple. So the mind, to find out what is sacred, the mind must know the total content of itself. And its content makes consciousness. You understand, sir? Consciousness is its content. If there is no content, there is something else in there. If my content of my mind is worry, resentment, wanting to fulfill, bitterness, anxiety, fear, afraid of so many things, wanting to this and that, that is the content of my consciousness. When the content is not, you understand, there is something entirely different. And we try to make one of the contents into the sacred thing. You understand? That's why one must know the total content, conscious or unconscious. And that's another problem.